Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Discovery Home Companion or Star Trek Resignation. It's me, it's Wade, Bowen, and with me here is the same crew we've had since we got back to it. It's Glenn Hall.
Hello.
And Sean Parata.
Hey.
Hey. It's, how about that Star Trek Discovery, huh?
How about it?
How about it? Okay, let's just get into it, huh?
Yeah.
May as well.
Yeah, what a shitty episode.
Just rip the Band-Aid off.
Here's the irony. So, before we started recording this episode, I was dragged kicking and screaming.
Glenn was a real piss baby about having to rewatch.
I was being a real asshole and diva about it for sure. Because I have seen, to clarify, I have seen this episode before today, but that was several weeks, if not months ago at this point, and I just,
we're professionals here. Glenn.
We are professionals, and I
don't want to rewatch it. I didn't like it. It's like none of us liked it. Glenn.
Yeah, I don't want to watch it for the first time. I don't like this. I hate this.
Well, here's the horrible irony: is
Resignation, Glenn.
There you go. The clues in the name. But the cruel irony is that the first time I watched this episode, I kind of liked it. I liked that it was a continuation of the Spock storyline.
It feels very Glenny. It's very dry and lore heavy, and nothing happens.
Yeah, and it was the first time around. But the second time around, having seen where the season went, I have such deep contempt for it.
Yeah, that nerd that on the internet was wrong when he told me these things get better on rewatch.
Oh no, that seems unimaginable.
It does not, because the first time I was like, oh yeah, it's Resignation 3. Reunification 3, because Reunification's part 1 and 2 are classic TNG episode, and this is like we're going to bring back TNG, we're going to bring back everything from Picard, we're going to bring back season 1 of Discovery, we're going to tie everything back up.
Brings a lot of different threads together.
So TNG Reunification is about the Vulcans and the Romulans?
Yeah, so Reunification was the TNG arc where Leonard Nimoy appeared on the show, and it was a big deal that he came back.
Is that what they pulled the in-episode footage of
yeah.
Yes, it's from that episode.
I was wondering where that would have been. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
right.
All right.
A fair curiosity. But yeah. So
I guess we should get into a synopsis here.
Sean, all you.
Well, hey, you know what? Y'all did the last two.
Yeah.
I was gonna make you do it since we made you rewatch the episode, but all right.
I'm happy to do it. I'll try and make it as short as I possibly can.
Here's what happened in this episode. Burnham cries because she got demoted. They go to Vulcan, Navarre, which used to be Vulcan, but now it's Reunification 3. And they go because they have a clue to the burn. So they go there. Everyone on Vulcan cries. She finds her mom, cries to her mom. She has a defender thesis in front of a Romulan, a Vulcan, and a half Romulan Vulcan walk into a bar. Defends her thesis, cries to her mom. They get the data. And then, by the way, Tilly is crying about being made first officer, and then she goes to her friends and asks about, should I do this? They cry. And then everybody says, say yes, and they cry because she's the first officer, and then Saru goes and looks out a window because that's his move, and then Michael Burnham looks out a window and cries. The end.
Now, Wade, I think there were too many details in that synopsis. I think you dwelled on, the say yes thing shouldn't have been in the synopsis. That should have been something we expounded upon.
No, that belongs in the synopsis. That's a big plot point.
Oh, fuck off.
I believe Joe Setineri could have written a song about this episode. Glenn?
Who?
Glenn. Joe Setineri.
Are you talking about Joe Satriani?
Nope, I am not. I'm talking about Joe Setineri. The performer of the song Batman Cries.
When he cries, when Batman cries.
Oh, fuck, I should know that. I'm so sorry.
Nobody should know that guy's name. You're fine.
Yeah.
How did we even find that? Well, we can't dwell on that, but
No.
I
Everybody should listen to
remember.
Batman Cries, though.
It was on the internet.
It was-
Like, look at this awful thing for a week.
Yeah, I
like,
think I saw it on AV
afternoon.
Club. Yeah. God, it was wonderful. Yeah, boy, what a bunch of blubbering little babies in this episode.
Yeah, well, it's the show. Like,
Yeah.
the whole time.
Yeah.
And the when you guys were bullying me into rewatching this episode, or after you had
Doing your fucking job.
Boy, again.
These are all our. This is all our
bare
full-time
minimum.
jobs here.
I will be the first to say thank you for keeping me honest. I genuinely appreciate it
Goddamn
because, yep. But when I was rewatching it, I texted you guys that the say yes scene where every single cast member except for Saru and Michael, except for the very end, like arranges perfectly spaced apart in the spore drive room and tells Tilly to say yes in the most drama club, over dramatic, overacting bullshit that is oh yeah, no Tig. There was no Tig.
Yeah, where's
Tig.
Tig?
I think she's busy.
It's like she didn't. The line producer couldn't get her scheduled a matchup or something. Yeah.
Her absence is strange.
Yeah, and they already spent their guest star money on getting Michael's mom back.
Right.
What a waste.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that just. Oof.
But it was like, hey, remember these nuns from Picard? Well, here, now we're tying in Picard with TNG, with season 1. She breaks up and like, remember when season 1 when you mutinied? And like, yeah, I remember. I don't remember whether the show thought that was a good or bad thing to do or not because they didn't.
I'll tell you, without having rewatched that episode, the show absolutely will tell you that Michael did the right thing because that is what the show always says, is that Michael does everything right all the time and makes no mistakes. Even the mistakes she makes are noble in intent and therefore good. I just... This is, and again, this gets to the say yes thing, which I think is emblematic of all the problems with the show. It's like, I just want one episode of this show that does not have a teary, gravitas-laden monologue about who character really is, or what the Federation is, or some just, again, there's so much over-drama. It's not melodrama. I used that word earlier, and that's not the case because...
You call it melodrama. But
well,
I mean,
I would argue that melodrama is kind of the bread and butter of a lot of good Star Trek. Like, the TOS is melodrama out the wazoo, and TNG as well. Like, there's a lot of melodrama in the best of Trek because it's, almost literally a space opera. Like, it is...
Right. I go back to, like, it doesn't trust the performances to carry you along for anything. It's got this fucking orchestral score that they're so proud of, but it's just like, hey, how am I? Oh man, what would I do if I had to go by all these exuberant actors saying "say yes" to know how I feel about it?
Imagine if you arranged the say yes thing for someone that you knew and cared about. Like, I feel like they would
No. In real life, that works better than on TV.
Right.
If you
Maybe
did
so,
that
yeah,
in
okay.
real life,
I'm getting too
like with
curmudgeonly
people
about
that
it.
if I got all my wife's friends to do that for her, she'd be like, oh, like this is sweet. Like all these people I love in one place, like encourage me to do something that I'm nervous about. It's less contrived in real life than it is on a television show.
Well, and that gets to the problem is that the show is constantly force-feeding you.
It's constantly contrived. It's constantly showing its seams at every turn, every second. Everybody has to be the most special. It's last episode, Michael being the first person to go out and collect a black box. Like, Michael has been in this world for 10 minutes and she's immediately special.
When Book and Michael are having their post-coital moment at the beginning, because what do you do when you get demoted? You go to get that D.
Hell yeah.
She gets laid. Yeah, I mean, that I'm fine with.
Get that
But,
lower
they're
deck D. That's just not lower decks, I know.
Yeah. But it's like, oh, well, Michael Burnham, you have to go solving the biggest, most dangerous cosmic puzzle of all time, which is the burn. It was like, not everything has to be the biggest thing in the galaxy, but... Oh.
It's so funny, again, like, even as So, like, when Saru demotes her, and it's a demotion, like, they make that clear, but he says, like, you are to keep to Chief Science Officer duties, and it's like, well, wait, hold on. Like, I know she's not number one anymore, it's a big demotion, but then, like, oh, like, you have to go just be Chief Science Officer in Starfleet's, like, Chief Science Vessel, and it's like, oh.
Right.
Well, okay.
And it's weird, because being number one is a thing. It's a position, but your rank is different because Tilly's acting first officer, better ranked. But Star Trek across the board has like rank porn. They're so obsessed with their rank, and to an extent that like when they fired Wesley Crusher, Will Wheaton from TNG, they're like, well, we can give you a raise or we can give your character a promotion. He's like, I need a fucking raise. I don't give a shit about the character's rank in the Starfleet.
That's so funny.
Oh, I didn't know that's why he left.
Yeah. And this is just as obsessed with like, well, except like, okay, it'd be one thing to demote her, but don't fucking cry about it. Just like, come on.
Well, she was going through something. You know, it got resolved. She was really dealing with some stuff.
Doesn't know where she belongs, and she wasn't even being Starfleet anymore. They wrapped that up by the end of it.
We've gone from Death Stranding back to Mass Effect, and now to the animated Hercules. That's what we're doing now. She just wants to find where she belongs.
Right, and then we've got SB-19, the big Vulcan test that.
Which, wait, I have a question for you. I don't know if you... I know you... I always forget. I'm sorry. You have or have not seen all of Voyager?
I don't even remember.
It doesn't matter. But there's an episode of Voyager where the tech... this is a good reason to rewatch. So, again, thank you guys. But the tech that they showed off when they were doing the presentation on SB-19... seemed kind of reminiscent of an episode of Voyager where they stumble across like basically the that quadrant's equivalent of Risa, that just all people just frolicking in pleasure all the time, but they also happen to have pioneered a form of teleportation that can take you galaxy lengths at a time. And
what's it called? SB-18?
No, it's not called SB-18, but what Voyager tries to reverse engineer it. And what they reverse engineer, if memory serves, is similar to what you're showing. It probably is nothing, but, just something I observed on a rewatch.
It's interesting. It could be, like, I didn't do 4 or 5 years of a podcast on Voyager, so I might, I don't know the details like I did DS9, so it's interesting. I've probably seen that episode, but forgotten about it because I watched it 15 years ago. The whole SB-19, they're like, okay, so we learned in this episode, this is data this isn't another black box. This is, they need data because Vulcans left the Federation 100 years ago. Or Navarre did, the reunited Vulcan Romulans.
I was hoping they would just call it Naklov, just Vulcan backwards.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah. Should have just called it Naklov.
Well, I am curious if there's like some lore, linguistic background to the name Navarre, because I was like, I assume that there would be... I can't
imagine anything I could possibly care less about than the linguistic background for the new name of Vulcan.
Right. So, but they left the Federation 100 years ago because they're certain that they caused the burn, or they think that the Federation pressured them into causing the burn because the Federation demanded this SB-19, which nobody knows what it's about. And it probably caused the burn, but then Michael's like, no, it didn't cause the burn, and I got proof that it didn't. And the Vulcans are the species whose whole shtick is logic and fact, and not being emotional. Are like, we don't believe you because we don't want to. And then she's like, but I'm Spock's sister. And so these logic people are like, well, we love Spock so much, now we'll listen to you because of our emotional attachment to Spock. I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, here's the thing. There is a way to... actually, I should save it for how to fix this episode, because I have lots of opinions on that.
Okay, good.
It is, yeah. I mean, I guess so. It's the Romulan one that wants to go with her, right? It's the Romulan one that's like, we should probably just do this. Like this sounds like a great deal, and then it's so stupid. Like, what a fucking stupid.
And then the half Romulan, half Vulcan is like, maybe not.
Right, exactly.
I'm in between.
Yeah, and then the Vulcan is like, no, because I said so. It's like, well, what? It's stupid.
Because we have our own set of alternative facts.
Exactly.
We have our own facts and ideas. Like, well, they think they're being topical over here, but they're just being...
Yep.
It was dumb when Conway said it. It was dumb now.
They also for sure decided to do a bottle episode and save some money and not show you Neo Vulcan. Not gonna do that.
No, we're just gonna use our existing sets.
Yep. We've got a perfectly good ship right here.
You know what? Fine. That's Star Trek for you.
I got no problem with that.
Right.
I have no. That I think is funny. That I love little budget and stuff like that. That's great.
I agree that no begrudging a bottle episode, particularly with Trek, but
your claims of proof make no difference. They think they're right, so they won't listen. It's like
right, and so and this gets to the whole problem of the episode that this is a. I know, Sean, you don't care about this, but like this is a fairly big matzo ball in the scope of like Star Trek lore, because the Romulan Vulcan divide is. Again, the whole reason that TNG episode, or what that TNG arc revolved around, was the fact that this tribal divide between the Romulans and the Vulcans was a colossal issue in the Federation and the galaxy writ large. And so, again, I'm kind of getting into how it affects its territory, so I'll cut it off there. But like, there are a lot of missed opportunities.
It's interesting because maybe it's not interesting, but Discovery being from the one, they didn't know anything about Trills because that's before their time.
Right.
By this time, this is before TOS is when they jump to the future, so they don't even know that Romulans look like Vulcans. That doesn't come about till...
And Vance even says that like he says history had forgotten this in your time. Yeah. Which that it is okay. It is funny that in Balance of Terror, which is the TOS episode, Sean, where Romulans first appear.
It's a great episode of TV.
Oh, it's a great episode of TV, but like it is funny by TOS rules in particular. What's that?
Unlike other things like this sucks. That's all.
Yeah. But you know, so they spend the whole episode fighting these Romulans. They don't know what they look like, but then they appear on the communicator screen at the end of the episode, and very granular. The actor playing the Romulan commander is the same actor who would play Spock's dad for many years, Sarek. But they look and like, oh, these people look like Vulcans. They must be related to Vulcans in some way, which by TOS rules is very funny because like 90% of the aliens in the universe are identical to humans, and it is never made a greater issue.
Right. Well, it's kind of like how a book species looks like humans, and you think it's going to be a thing, and then it's not. Sorry. Nope. Oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's next week.
Oh, is Book not human?
Nope.
Well, I can't even remember what his species name is, but
they talk about it in past episodes.
Well, I believe it. I don't remember past
Book.
episodes.
He's got a human. Yeah, and he's got a human name. There's a story there, and spoilers. There's not much one.
I don't think we hear that story this season. Spoiler.
Yeah, I don't think so. Even though we go to his planet next week, so whatever.
I know. I heard.
I will just say again that the theory that Book was what the Borg had evolved into was so much more interesting.
Well, you know what? At this point, it could still be true, but who cares? We're not. That's not this episode. Let's move on.
Right.
Yeah, she's got to do her Tikal and Ket, which if you're doing a Vulcan episode, you got to do a Vulcan ritual.
Sure.
Something for it.
Right.
Kirsten Beyer is the writer for this episode, and she has been with Discovery since the beginning. She's famous for writing Voyager novels, or that's how she got the gig. Mm-hmm. But with this episode, I'm done giving her the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, she sucks.
I mean,
this is not a good
every
episode.
episode she's had. When this show started, I was like, oh, I saw her at a convention. She seems very nice. She knows her shit.
Sure.
About lore, but you know what? Every episode she's written sucked. So
Well, the problem is not the writers not knowing their shit. That's never, ever, ever been the problem. The problem is what to do with said shit. And
well, yeah, and maybe, figuring out how to write a TV script in a room with, like, hack producers, you get your craft becomes, I don't know. Maybe if they could do it better without all the oversight or something. I don't know. Maybe
what they need to do is get good writers who know nothing about Star Trek and write the episodes just with a bunch of blanks in it, and that's it. And just leave the know the core details, and write the details, and then just leave blanks where someone has to say use the foopadoop to go to bapadoop, and then the Star Trek people can do that, and that's how you do it. That's what they have to do at this point.
That's kind of what Ronald D. Moore did in TNG.
Oh, really?
Oh, there you go.
Because he was and even in Voyager. Well, this is like inside, like. That's why Brian Fuller talked about how writing for Voyager kind of sucked because everybody was ashamed to be a Star Trek fan, and so they had to pretend like they weren't. But whereas DS9, they were just a bunch of nerds nerding out.
Right.
But like, yeah.
Man, I gotta tell you, I keep going back to DS9 is like the template that this show should just aggressively chase, but has no interest in.
Yeah, it's the least popular of the Star Treks, so. Kurtzman's not gonna let that happen.
Oh, you mean I thought
actually Enterprise is probably the least popular, but yet it has the most connections because it gets most Easter eggs come from Enterprise for some reason, just because of I guess
that makes sense though because it's like that was kind of like the culmination of like the TNG era where it all came to a head with prequel puns. It was like Gotham where like they couldn't
every time they go to something they want to go before TNG, they end up pulling from Enterprise,
Exactly.
Or TOS, whatever.
I got so excited when they were like, and it's on New Vulcan, and Vulcan left the Federation, so there's some. They'd go down onto the planet, they'd run and do a little mission, they'd do a little something, sneak in, get caught, do some diplomatic. I was like, this could be fun. This could be like a fun little diversion. The whole crew goes on an adventure together. Boy, did I get the energy of this episode wrong early.
Yeah.
My prediction was not on point at all. It's not what they did.
I mean, yeah,
it's a heavy episode. But heavy with nothing, like an empty crown. It's
yeah. I mean, all again when they talk about Federation ideals, they talk such a big game about it, but like when the president or Michael's mom are like, she's talking about what is the Federation? Maybe you should. Or Sarah was talking to the president. He's like, maybe you should trust the Federation. And then she's like, that Federation? You just got here. You sure about that? And he's like, yes. Maybe the Federation found a new kind of wisdom in the years in between. Oh yeah, maybe they did, but we don't know if they did because you just took them for it's the Federation and we love it, and now we do whatever And you didn't. The show did not explore whatever new wisdom they found other than we're too stretched thin. We can't do the things that we're supposed to be doing so it was like what wisdom did they find? Nothing. Like all the Vulcans like talking shit to Burnham's like, why should we trust the Federation? And like, you know what, I'm on their side the whole time.
You know what, here's what it is. The writers are so fascinated with the main cast and the main characters, and they don't seem as interested in the galaxy writ large, the world that this is all taking place in. Like, there are so many opportunities. Again, I mean, I'm a broken record on this, but like, you literally have an era of the Star Trek like canon that has been completely unexplored, and that you have the creative freedom. You're not constrained by prequel logic or anything like that. They can create whatever they need to, and they just don't. And that's what frustrates me, is that this episode was an opportunity to do that, and they chose not to.
Well, like, when this season started, I was excited because it felt like they were writing character first. You know what? Like, write for characters. Write character, like, explore. What they started doing with Michael at the beginning was interesting, but here it sucked. Yeah. And then, like, it felt like they were starting to explore the rest of the bridge crew. Like, they had that Bryce, that black guy that we didn't hear a word from, got a scene in episode 2, and like, oh, and we're learning more about the bridge crew, and they're turning into actual characters. But you know what? Stop doing that again. It's just like, Tilly, we love you, and we're all here for you. And Bryce just is, and it smiles in the corner. Nobody has any real characterization. I don't know what Nielsen, that's his last episode, is like, pay attention to that Nielsen. She knows what she's doing on the bridge. Maybe she should be second and first officer. And she should be, but we don't get to see her do shit because she's not one of the... It's only Michael, Tilly, and Saru. That's all they really care about. And
Saru's the only one
and
I
Culber
like.
and Stamets.
Well, yeah, but they're,
But only in scenes with Adira. Otherwise, no.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Like, I agree that, like, obviously, character is crucial to writing, any fiction, much less a TV show. But I think in the context of Star Trek, especially a Star Trek that is so poorly defined as this show is, that has constantly been being, revamped and, we didn't get it right this season, we'll get it right next season, blah, blah, blah. Again, they gotta go on fucking space adventures.
Well, that's how you explore character in Star Trek. It's space friends solving space problems.
Exactly.
Space friends crying and moping at each other. They don't do anything other
space
than that.
friends solving problems in space. They're not solving space problems. They're just on a CW, like, teenage drama. They're not...
Right, where they just, supporting their friends emotionally by mooning at them and staring out windows. Maybe if it's at the end of the episode, somebody's gonna be staring out a motherfucking window.
Oh, yep. Well, should we talk about how we'd fix this episode?
No, burn it down. Should the sphere, should the orb, should the knowledge ball be a character?
Yes.
Well, just you wait. It should be.
That's
all I'll say.
Will it? Okay, I don't.
I mean, spoiler. It comes into play.
I can't believe how many stupid things I've said that you've said. Just wait and respond. I'm like, oh, good. This is stupid. This will be some classic Sean stupidity.
Well, it's like somebody in the writers' room ask the right questions, the same questions that you are asking, and they're like, yes, we should. So we'll do a dumb thing in one episode, tick it off the box that we did it. And it sucks ass.
God damn it! This is awful, man.
So here's how I'd fix this episode. What you have here again is a plot point in, like, the greater canon of Trek that is fairly.
Hold on 1 second. Do we think this is going to be about fixing this episode, or is this going to be about fixing Star Trek?
It's about fixing this episode, I promise.
All right.
Okay.
I'm stoked.
Via fixing the entire
Right, there
season?
you go.
No, not the season. It's about this episode.
We're stuck with the shit sandwich of a
episode.
season. How do you make this episode better?
How do I make this episode better? So, again, this is a substantial development in, like, the greater canon of Trek, is the unification of the Romulans and the Vulcans finally happening. What this episode failed on, I think, is really showing in any meaningful or interesting way how Romulan and Vulcan society had blended. Because what they gave us was, the Vulcans and the Romulans are still very much distinct culturally. They are just different than what you might expect. The Romulans are more trusting, the Vulcans are more emotional. Even that, if they had, like, felt interested in exploring the reasoning for that, could have been an angle to go for. But the angle I would go with is, again, how, like, I forget how long ago they said the unification formally happened. I guess one can assume it probably was pretty shortly after Romulus was destroyed by the supernova.
They say it was hundreds of years after. It took hundreds of years after Spock for it to happen.
Oh, right, he did, and that was when. Yeah, you're right. They did say that. Well, anyway, regardless,
sometime between it was over 100 years ago, because that's when Navarre left the Federation, and it's after Picard.
Which is more than enough time, by TV logic to establish that, like, the Romulan. The society of Navarre that you see is totally different than what you'd expect from either Vulcans or Romulans. And so...
You want to flip that around,
Right. Well, and so I would say it's not so much that you are, again, it's not that you're like, oh, well, the Vulcans are like this, the Romulans are like this. Like, no, they all have, essentially adopted a new culture that is unfamiliar to us, the viewer. And maybe you have elements of the Romulans being so secretive and mistrusting, and the Vulcans being so emotionless and logical and science-driven. And you could have found an interesting... I'm just imagining like a culture, them portraying a culture in this episode where like knowledge is considered just something so valuable that it can't be shared. Something that I mean, this is just a riffing thing, so this is not obviously
Sure.
the ideal thing, but
I'm
like
with
some way to establish that like Romulan and Vulcan society truly has blended, and so Michael's knowledge of Vulcan society is completely useless. And her status as Spock's sister is completely useless. And I even think that I would still include her mom and being part of the co-op meal because for what it's worth, I think they did a good job of actually showing what the fuck absolute candor, what the point of it was in this episode. Like that character, to their credit, established a philosophy and committed to it and like practiced it in the episode. So
That's true. And they did make a point in the episode of saying the co-op Malat and absolute candor was part of what made reunification between the Vulcans and the Romulans possible because, and that made sense. Like,
exactly. And so there are hints of that. And so... I
kind of hated her mom be a part of it, but...
I know, it's a little too on the nose, but at least it kind of... It wasn't, like, super shocking that her mom showed up, because like, we knew she was time-traveling and yada, yada, yada. So, that didn't... I'm not too mad about that, and...
That's not... Yeah, that's... If I don't like that, that's personal taste. It doesn't ruin what they're... It's not bad per se. It's just I might not like it.
Right, exactly. Perhaps not the choice you would have made were you plotting this all out.
But it's a valid choice.
Yeah. But so again, I think the main way you fix this episode is by being, again, not being so enamored with what Michael's going through and who is she? Does she feel like she belongs? Because that is such heavily trodden ground on this show. You need to be interested in what this society has become, and you use Michael as the vehicle to uncover that. She still has her quest of getting the SB19 data, and it's not just we're emotional. Again, give them an interesting philosophical reason, because a lot of the great Trek episodes are about these culture clashes where it's not about your interests and mine are aligned. It's more this society we've encountered has a completely different philosophy and outlook on XYZ issue that the episode's about. Like, this is such a random poll, but like there's a TOS episode where they come across a society that wages warfare via simulation. So they don't actually fight battles.
And that would be a way. But get back to this episode.
Yeah. Sorry. But I'm just saying, like you like that. That's an example of like the friction you can create. It's not it's not all tied to the arc of the season. It's not all tied to the burn. Like there is an interesting development in what this essentially new society and potentially new species has, not literally, but like this new people that has risen from the reunification of Romulus and Vulcan. There's so much you can pull from that event alone that they just were not interested in.
Right, and name check that it's blended a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't really see what that means very well.
And like, look, I'm not asking to see like, what does your Romulan and Vulcan hybrid architecture look like? I like that. That is not important. I mean, it's fun if you want to like, if there's some precedent for stuff like that. Right. But like, again, the thing that's interesting, the thing that Trekkies, and I would argue even like non-Trekkies who are just into a sci-fi episode, like story, the interesting thing is, this people has a different philosophy. How do you deal with it while maintaining the ideals of the Federation? That's where all these good Trek stories come from, or a lot of these good Trek stories come from. Is like there's a clash of philosophies. How do you deal with it while preserving your principles?
And that's how you would fix it.
That's huh?
All right, shut up. Shut the fuck up. Here's how you fix this episode. Boy, in just a fraction of the time. She goes down expecting the Vulcans to help her. The Vulcans tell her to fuck off. The Romulans find her. They go, "We believe in you. We're going to help you break into this Vulcan thing and steal the information." Then she's got to go on a fucking swashbuckling heist quest with the Romulans to steal the data from a Vulcan lab. Boom.
But
done.
see, but that
Shut the
Sean,
fuck up. No, I know. That's not in the
Then she
spirit
gets in
of-
trouble again. I mean, because she'd get in trouble with.
So here's what here's what I think. So I think she, like, Saru finds out. He's like, obviously you can't do this. They ask the Admiral, and the Admiral says, do it. The Admiral says, fuck them. They're not in the Federation anymore. This data is more important. Let's do it. So it's sort of like, so Saru has to kind of go like I don't have any control over this situation.
Oh, and then you leave it. Yeah, that's great. You leave in that scene where he's talking to the Vulcan president, and she's like, "You sure they're that much better?" And
Exactly.
He's like, yes, and then he's not sure anymore because they just did this thing he didn't want to do.
Right. His role is to like distract her. That's like what he ends up doing.
But then you'd even get a good like idealistic kind of like, wait a minute, I'm not sure about the Federation anymore because wait a minute, I have these ideals that I thought they were doing, and now they're going to.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, them sort of like compromising. I think there's room for some of that. I think like giving Saru like a true like crisis of faith is more interesting to me,
right,
than giving Michael another one.
Because the spiel he gave her about like maybe you should try, that would be good if. That would work for me if we saw that the Federation had, but like the Federation, it's like, yeah, we mostly believe in the same stuff, but we can't do that. And I don't know. We don't see any. I don't know exactly.
There's no establishing of philosophies. That's the problem, or one of the problems.
Philosophy hasn't changed. They're just like, well, we just can't do it right now, which is
right. But
also a thing you could do.
This is a Federation that's sacrificed like any attempt at long-term functionality, any like long-term peace, any like goal, just for like short-term like housekeeping, like they and
they're just trying to survive. They're doing what
I know
so thin.
It just doesn't feel like that's like the I don't know, man. Yeah, to me, with my extensive Star Trek background knowledge, it really doesn't feel like the Federation like dying a slow death by attrition like is how the Federation would go out. I don't know. The idea that Michael Burnham is like the only James Kirk out there, and that there is no Kirk anymore. There is no Picard. Like there's no figure like who would carry this version of the Federation like into a better future. Again, until Michael Burnham shows up. No.
You know what? You know what I just realized? They name-checked Vedreich in the premiere, and they've never... It's again, spoiler, sorry, Sean. It never comes up again.
You mentioned that they name-checked it, and I'm not sure. I don't...
Yeah, Glenn, it's a spoiler that they name-checked the Vedreich. I don't know what that is.
Yeah,
Wade knows
from a short Trek.
Yeah, and...
It's an interesting side plot that they set up in one of the things about a future of the Federation and it falling apart, turning into fascism kind of thing.
Well, and what I think at the time what we thought they might have been doing, or at least we suggested a possibility of what they might be doing, is establishing that there was a splinter group called the Vedreich.
I felt like they were leaving things open to go there, but then, like I said, they pulled back from it because they wanted to reset again by episode 5, and probably they had different dictates about what the show needed to be and said, no, we can't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who the fuck knows?
Wade, how would you fix this episode?
Yeah.
Well, I like all of your ideas. I like yours, Sean. I liked yours, Glenn. It wasn't.
I liked yours too, Glenn. I'm mean to you, but I did. I thought.
I thank you, Sean. I appreciate that.
You could be a little more succinct next time, but I think it was.
You laid out a big thing of what they should do,
can't.
but you didn't put how you would do it.
Right.
So that's
my. Well, look, I don't want to be presumptuous and be like, oh, I could write a better script than XYZ person, because I emphatically could not.
I don't think I could write a better script. I think I could have a better idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm not asking. Yeah, no, we're presumptuous assholes on this podcast. We're telling them how they should fix it, not like if you want how I would fix it.
Right. We're not offering it to them.
Yeah, they want to take it, sure, but
sure, please. I don't need credit.
Yeah, so I do what y'all said. sure, go with that. But like when Michael shows up again, when she's like, they're like, oh, it's Spock's sister. One, I'd be like, we're Spock. Yeah, that was like 600 years ago. Thank you, but whatever.
Right.
We don't care anymore.
That's the logical.
And two, Spock's sister, whose very existence was erased.
Yeah, that's yup.
Oh yes.
Yup.
They're like, oh, Spock's sister. We will we pay you all this respect for being Spock's sister. I guess the Federation told us that you were Spock's sister, and we believe them for that. But we won't believe anything else from the Federation because we don't trust them. It's like, so which is it?
Right. Right. This black human woman is says she's Spock's sister, and they're like, ah, yes. This person that has been erased from history. Yes, we believe that you are who you say you are.
The way you get around that was like, well, they do have her mom is a nun in the absolute kind of
yes.
nuns. So
Right.
she could vow, and they're like, all right, fine, we believe her because her. So sure, do that, but
Yeah.
at least you got to do the work of saying, well, we believe your mom. but
Right, you
not
have
the
to
Federation.
throw in the one line that explains it away. If that line's
Yeah,
not in
exactly.
there, then we're sitting here like, what the fuck?
Exactly, yeah. And yeah, I would go down to the planet and have a better blended thing. I didn't think it out very much this week either.
Yeah, you're fine.
Voila-dee-da.
I like y'all going first, going, I guess I can say what y'all did and then
Right.
just build off of that.
And there you go.
Yeah, I mean, all I thought of was Ant-Man, so you're good.
Yeah, because I'm using y'all as my own little writer's room to take your ideas.
There you go. Well, speaking of other shows that had writers' rooms at the time,
And I would put a fucking. Sorry. One thing I would do to fix. Well, notice how the end of this episode ended with multiple staring out window scenes.
Sure.
And then I'm going to do what I say that you shouldn't do and fix the whole season, fix the whole goddamn show. Put a fucking door on the garage of the Discovery, man. That drives me crazy every time.
Yeah, what is it's like an energy door? Is that what's happening there?
Yeah.
So
They
you
have a
can
force
see
field
the
door.
ship in the it's
Which is
stupid.
fine to have that, but you put a door in front of it in case the force fields give out.
right.
Because
well, isn't
Yeah.
that how it is in TNG? Or well, maybe not. No, I might be wrong.
no, they in TNG they got the little thing opens up. They don't have force fields that you see.
You know what? I might be mixing it up with Star Wars now that I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, Star Wars has the same thing.
Yes.
And it's ain't Star Wars. I don't care if Macquarie designed the ship for this failed movie in the 70s that they used for the design of this Discovery to update it, and that's where the Discovery design is based on an old movie design that didn't get used. Blah blah. Sorry.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. All right.
Real quick. Hold on one sec. Real quick. Burnham's 11. Okay, we're good. Move on.
Wait, what?
She's what?
No, sorry, Ocean's 11. I'm doing Burnham's 11.
Oh,
She gets,
gotcha.
She gets like six crew members and 4 Romulans, and they go and they steal the data from the Vulcans.
Sure.
You know they get Book in because he's a smuggler.
Gotta
him
get
in.
Book. Tilly's gotta come because she's magical. You know, everybody's special. Whatever.
If we're gonna fix this episode, we got to cut out all the yes. Yeah, make Nielsen the fucking Make Nielsen the new second officer.
Yeah, give it to someone who deserves
we've
it.
seen her manage she's the guy she's the one that takes over the bridge when Sarah leaves all the time. So just put her in the spot.
Yep. Yeah.
I know we don't care about her, so we don't do anything with her. But yeah,
Right.
That's what you do.
God forbid you make us care about her.
Yeah. Let her solve some space problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
right, blow your
with that
horn.
all being what?
I said, blow your horn, Dinah. Come on.
It's status report time. It's another brief one this week. I have watched more Star Trek since last week, non-Discovery Star Trek. Little farther
Because you were telling us when you didn't want to watch this episode that you watched some, and we were like,
Right, like that was a reason to not watch the one episode we want you to talk about.
well, here's the thing, Voyager, which I understand is the less one of the less
Voyager's
loved.
got some good episodes. I'm not. I'm
No,
down
of course,
with
of
Voyager,
course.
But it's got.
But my understanding is that it's like kind of ranked lower out of the TNG era shows.
DS9 and Voyager flip flop depending on who you're talking to.
Really, man, DS9 is so strong. I mean, it's recency bias, but like I feel like DS9 does a lot of things. Even at its worst, it does a lot of things really, really well. and different for a Star Trek show. But Voyager's a great standard template Star Trek show with a twist, with a very small twist of like, oh, they're in the...
Yeah, it's a suitable Star Trek show, but with a twist.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, honestly, that's
passable.
Passable. There's no one that, at least not at this point, that I like. No characters are quite on the level of like a Nog or Odo or Sisko. Or name all of them. I love DS9. DS9 was so great. But again, passable. It's all passable. So I'm enjoying it. Again, I am in that home stretch just in the scope of all of Star Trek, but it's, as you said last week, it's still 11 more seasons of television, and so it's that weird kind of, it's not fatigue, but it is a little daunting. It's like, oh god, I got so much left to get through, and I haven't hit the point with Voyager where I am binging it yet. I'm kind of just watching an episode here and there, just kind of like easing myself back into it. Until
Voyager's good for it because it doesn't do big arcs or anything.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Which to be fair, was one of the reasons why it was a little harder to binge TNG, because again, TNG for the most part did not adhere to arcs. So it's like, it was never like a cliffhanger that's like, oh, I gotta watch the next one. It's like, oh, that was a really great sci-fi story. What's the next one gonna be?
Right.
So anyway, I'm enjoying Voyager. Not being blown away by it, but it's. It is so much better than Discovery. That's why I'm so angry about Discovery, is because like I'm seeing even what like quote unquote lesser Trek is capable of doing, of just being a passable, entertaining 45 minutes of TV, and it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science. The Trek formula's out there. They can make it work, and they just are tripping over themselves trying to make it something more pretentious, I feel like. But anyway, so total percentage is 70 point... What?
I'm just going back to some of that swelling music, and when Burnham's mom says, "Do you know where to find me?" and that whimpers, oh,
yeah, too much.
Just emoting out so hard, man.
Well, anyway, total percentage is 70.21. So again, home stretch. But that's all I got.
All right. Sorry, I don't know why I keep bringing up this episode. Oh, we're doing a podcast.
Are we still recording? Are we still
I'm
here?
just picking at the scab. Sorry, yes, we're about to be done.
Oh boy, what a time. Anyway, I liked this episode. I thought, no, this is trash. What a bad show.
I liked it more the first time through, and I was like, interesting things they're doing with it. And then you watch it again, and it's like, no, these things aren't interesting. They're
this is an episode that is in theory like for you guys and for like the Trekkers among us. Like it goes like a little bit deeper. It's got like a lot of like references, not in the most like ham-fisted way. Like honestly, like I feel like all that stuff isn't worked in like terribly and organically, but it's all there for you guys to sort of like chew on and digest and see like what this world might hold in terms of Trek. But boy, is it overall just done so badly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, now that we're the one true line in this episode that her mom said when she's like, "Oh, I left her here. She was never Vulcan," and you know what? She never was.
No,
she's fully human. Because there's no fucking there's no logic of cold emotional Vulcan logic with Burnham. It's all
never.
If you don't see the faces I'm making, but it looks like somebody's twisting a knife in my back, and my face is just contorting like, oh, the face. Oh man.
And again, there are interesting things they could have done with that conflict of a human raised by Vulcans, but they chose not to do it. They went with the overdrama. I really do want to distinguish between melodrama and overdrama.
Right. Well, I don't give a shit.
I know.
Well, yeah. Fuck. God damn it. Fuck Star Trek. Man.
So how's your imaginary podcast going?
Yeah, Sean.
It might. Maybe it'll come out soon. I don't know.
Hey, Sean, do you want to throw a kingdom fart at my way as a teaser?
Oh my God! I don't know. No, I can't. No, I have nothing. I have no.
Save it for
we gotta say. I have to collect myself. I can't.
Sure. Well, what about a teaser for Fringe Benefits? Our one shot about the semi long running procedural Fringe.
The semi long running, semi beloved procedural.
Fringe was fun.
The Fringe is great. No, and it featured Leonard Nimoy for many seasons.
Yeah.
Leonard Nimoy was in there. I haven't watched Fringe in 10 years, so Couldn't tell you, but I'm excited to get into it.
Oh man, it's been a long time for me too, but I remember it just being a really good. It had a really good hook. Again, like much like the X-Files or any other procedural, like it had a good kind of background premise for all of these weird sci-fi stories.
It does that thing that some procedurals do, where there's like a season story, where like they're dealing with the greater threat of a sci-fi problem while like dealing with the week-to-week individual like monster of the week episodes.
They kept naming villains after David Bowie. I can't remember who the other musician was. Yeah,
that's very funny.
Okay, well, so fringe benefits maybe at some point.
Yeah, I guess at some point I have to play Kingdom Hearts 3. I guess.
Okay.
Have you not played it yet?
I never played it. No.
I don't care about any of this. I really don't.
You're right not to, Wade.
I'm just trying to enter the mind of a listener that doesn't care about any of this.
Or me when you guys talk about Star Trek.
Yeah. Some might. I mean, the ones that are listening to it probably care. I don't know. Yeah.
Goofy dies.
Goofy does die. That's true.
Oh, okay. Good.
It's for no reason.
And he immediately comes back. Don't worry. He is immediately resurrected.
All right, so let's end this, I guess. The OG Kickers of Ills, James and Hugh and I we're working on another project that'll be coming out soon.
What?
Ooh.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's teasers. If you listen to the Patreon episodes, we basically talk about it.
I don't.
Yeah, but it'll all be out there at some point when it's ready.
Are you guys doing
exciting.
a competing Fringe podcast?
That's exactly what it is.
No.
It's not.
Oh, God.
All right. So, go to the Patreon if you want to figure all that out. You have to give us money for that. Or you can wait and it'll be out eventually.
Surrey with the Fringe on pod?
What?
Yes.
Surrey with the Fringe on pod? Is that what it's called?
Yes, you guessed it.
I don't get that joke.
What? Oklahoma. Surrey with the Fringe on the top. Oklahoma.
It's
Surrey
been
with the Fringe.
so long since I have seen Oklahoma.
What is wrong with you? This is Oklahoma.
And also, Sean, I am from Texas, the college football enemy of Oklahoma.
Oklahoma
I don't give a
sucks.
shit. You're a musical theater nerd.
I know.
You
I
gotta
should
know
that.
Surrey with the Fringe on top. My God, end the podcast. I gotta work in the morning.
Yeah, I've been trying to, but you're talking about French for 10 minutes here. Like a Goofy dying. I don't care.
What's that guy's name? What's the old guy's name on Fringe?
Denethor?
With the actor or the character? Bishop. Bishop is the John Bishop. John Bishop is the actor.
I just
Denethor, yeah.
I just threw up.
Denethor. I'm sorry. I missed it. I missed you saying Denethor. I'm sorry.
Glenn, you know I'll never care about a character's name in anything except the Fast and the Furious. So please. All right.
But yes, John
Sean,
Bishop.
don't you have to go to the work in the morning?
Guys, shut the fuck up. I gotta go to work in the morning.
No, we're gonna talk about Denethor and how he's named after an elf.
No, God damn it. End the show. Work. Bye.
Done.
Bye.